the reason why I don't even know when I was introduced to you, Kristīne, because I've had a podcast for almost 4 years. And I think you started pitching people to me, and you stood out to me because I didn't feel like you copied and pasted your pitches to me. Like, it felt so personal. And I actually like bookmarked your website because I knew that someday I would like you to do that for me. And, as a podcaster, you get so many pitches that are like, you can tell like, this is such a copy and paste thing. You have no idea what I talk about because this doesn't fit. And it almost gets offensive after a while, and you start to kind of dread seeing pitches in your inbox. But whenever I would see your name, I would always make sure, if it's from the Pod Grow, I always took on guests from you. And so when I reached out to you last year, I knew that I kind of wanted as much hands-off podcasting experience as possible. I wanted somebody to just find me amazing shows to be on so I can just show up and be on them. And you definitely made that possible. I mean, I was on over 12 podcasts in the last 6 months, and they were all amazing. I didn't feel awkward on any of them. The only times I ever felt awkward on podcasts is when somebody just pitched me while I was working with you, and they had nothing to do with you. And they were so awkward, some of them. So like my podcast post on Instagram the other day
it was hilarious. The gifts, I was like, this also happened to me. Like, oh yeah. The quote thing, or the your favorite book at the time. I was like, okay, will it be awkward if I say I don't read any books right now? And I'm just like, so sometimes these questions like completely like throw you off guard. Like
they do. I know I had one gentleman ask me, not somebody who you set me up with. He said, you have a lot of books behind you. What's your favorite one? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. Just those kinds of things. But I love introducing new people to my people. So I'm happy you guys are all listening to this, because I think podcasting it can be really challenging to be a host, but it can be really fun. But then take it to the next level and be on someone else's show just gives you so much amazing exposure to audiences that you have never been in front of. And that's what you are going to tell us how to do today. And I'm excited about it. So thank you for spending time with us, Kristīne. And I'm going to let you take the wheel.
Absolutely. So thank you so much again for having me. And I'm so excited to be here. I'm just going to prepare my screen so we can have, gallery, or what is it? Okay. So I'm going to just share my screen with you. Can I do? Yep, I can do that. So,
okay, good. I'm going to mute and stop my video so you can have all the bandwidth.
Okay, perfect. So once again, I'm super, super excited to be here. So thank you so much, Lindsay, again for having me. It was honestly, for me, it was like so easy to work with you because I already knew you from your podcast like years ago, and it was just a blast to work with you and help and support you. So and that's how we met and got together, and and that's why I'm basically here. So I'm gonna start, and maybe I will just quickly introduce myself for those who don't know me. So once again, my name is Kristīne, and I'm a podcast guesting expert and strategist and founder of the Podcast Growth Agency. So we help, actually purpose-driven female coaches and entrepreneurs and also service providers to gain really strategic visibility, elevate their authority and generate really warm quality leads through podcast guesting services. I'm also a wife, a mom, soon to be actually mom of 2. And I'm also based in Europe, Latvia. So that's why you probably hear my accent sneaking in a little bit. And I actually counted. So during my 3+ years in this online space business, I have actually booked over 500+ interviews for my clients and been directly responsible for countless additional collaborations that, presented themselves after successful podcast interviews. So I'm really, really passionate about helping female entrepreneurs gain strategic visibility and become the go-to expert in their field, outside of social media, so they can, really stop burning themselves out only on social media. I'm sorry, I'm just going to quickly plug in my charger. Forgot to do that. So we're ready to go. So quick I will show quickly what we will talk about today. So I will quickly share, the main reasons why podcast guesting is one of the best marketing activities that you can do to increase your brand awareness and credibility. And also, what are actually the first steps even before pitching? Also, I'm going to dive into how to find aligned podcast guesting opportunities. And I'm going to share my 3 go-to methods. And I'm going to share also how I validate each show. And I'm going to show you the live example of how I actually do that. So that's why I have all of these tabs open up here. So I'm ready to give you like a real example because I'm all about it. Also, we're going to dive into step-by-step on how to create a killer pitch that really gets the yes. And and let's dive right in. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this slide because probably you already know the huge benefits of podcast guesting, but the main one are definitely, it really gets you a super strategic visibility and exposure because you are in front of truly aligned people that actually care about what you have to say. So you don't have to be in front of random people and find, aligned people in this crowd, but you're already in front of aligned people that will actually care about what you have to say and also solutions that you have to offer for them. Also, guesting on podcasts consistently really helps you to, break the imposter syndrome cycle because you are just putting yourself out there, podcast interview after podcast interview, and you really boost your confidence and also get super clear on your message. And it really helps you, establish you as a go-to expert in your field. And of course, one of my favorite ones are you really get to create really warm leads. And it's evergreen leads, right? Because podcast interviews live for a long time versus, social media posts or story. And so that's how you can get, people reaching out to you from all over, right? Not just people from your social media, but just random people start kind of reaching out to you, like asking about your services. And they tell you, oh, I heard you on this podcast, on that podcast. So that is really how you generate really, really warm leads from podcast guesting. And also create meaningful relationships with hosts and also business partnerships, which is actually huge, especially if you're a coach or a service provider. If you hit it off with a host and you really see win-win situation for both of you, there's no brainer that you can collaborate even further and create something awesome for both of you. So now I'm going to dive into what are actually the first steps, even before you consider pitching, even before the outreach process even begins, right? So I'm going to talk about strategy. So first things first, even before the outreach process begins, you must get super clear on who your target audience is and how you help them, okay? This is crucial when it comes to research, and this is crucial when it comes to outreach because that's just like what are your goal, right, with podcast guesting. So you kind of have to know these things even before pitching. And second, based on your experience, based on your knowledge and your expertise, you have to figure out what value are you going to offer, right? And how you are going to package all of that into a compelling interview topic that you can pitch to hosts and that really raises their interest. And they are like, yes, let's have you on my show. And how to do that is you have to get super clear on, your biggest pain points of your clients. So you have to understand what are the things that my ideal clients are struggling the most with, and how can I reflect that into my speaking topic. So basically, highlight the problem and offer the solution and package all of that into a compelling speaking interview topic, right? That host will be like, yes, let's have you on my show. So I also have combined here a few kind of niche examples and target audience examples that you can use to kind of understand how deep I want you to go here, because it's not going to work if you are just like, okay, I'm a nutritionist or I'm a business coach. You have to go deeper than that. For example, you are a weight loss coach for busy executive women and driven entrepreneurs. So instantly it shows me that you are working with ambitious people, entrepreneurs. So maybe I can even put you on business podcasts, right? Not only on health and wellness podcasts. For example, maybe you are a co-parenting coach for women after divorce, or you are a relationship coach for single and ambitious women, right? Or you are a health optimization coach for 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs. So that instantly, again, gives me a very good idea of where I can put you, if I would work with you, or it instantly also shows you that you should be in front of those audiences. And here I also have combined, a few examples of truly high-performing speaking topics that performed really well for one of our clients. And also here is, I think, one example that we also developed for Lindsay. And I kind of have the topics here in two kind of groups that I see they work really well when it comes to podcast guesting. So the first group is like how-to topics. These are topics that are, focused on specific strategy or a step-by-step guide, something super tangible that listener can take away with, and you give them a specific result after they listen to you. Or topics that are focused more on sharing, individual, journeys, life events, or stories that are not so much about specific strategy. So a how-to topic can be, for example, how to get MD referrals for your health coaching business. So with how-to topic, I want to get super clear and like super specific on what specific strategy I'm going to teach the listener here. So for example, how to write a compelling sales copy that explodes your revenue in 2.5 hours flat. That one did really, really well. Or how to get aligned clients into your web using low ticket membership model. That one we actually did for Lindsay. And also maybe how to break free from the toxic communication cycle with your co-parent, right? All of these topics, maybe you noticed, are how-to topics that are focused on specific strategy versus the ones that are below here. For example, motherhood, entrepreneurship, brand strategy, and brand identity. These are like more about individual journeys, like how I got from A to B, or sharing my life journey with the listeners. So now I'm going to dive into podcast research, and I'm going to actually walk you through my 3 go-to methods that I like to use when it comes to research. And after that, I'm going to actually share you a live example, and I'm going to combine all of these 3 together. And I'm going to also share how I validate each podcast. Okay. So now I'm going to dive into like a theory, and then I'm going to dive into really tangible examples. So first method that I really like to use is super simple, is, Google research. I use this method if I'm starting from complete scratch, I have no similar expert in mind, or I have no show in mind for this. So I'm just using Google, and I'm typing the keywords that I want to find. So basically, for example, health and wellness podcast for Christian women, right? Let's say I'm a health coach, and I really want to help also Christian women. So I'm going to type these podcasts and see what comes up. Or best podcasts for divorced women and moms in 2022 or 2023. So this is how I would start Google research. Then one of my by far favorite methods is expert research using iTunes. So for this, I have to kind of have a specific expert name in mind, like a living person that shares the same target audience as I do. And this method helps me find shows, super fast, literally in minutes. I'm going to show you how I do it. But for this, you have to have a kind of similar expert in mind that shares a similar target audience or the same target audience as you do. Also, I like to use social media research. Like for this specifically, I like to use Instagram, but you also can use LinkedIn and Facebook. But I'm an Instagram girl, and Instagram is just the fastest way for me, how I like to do the research. And also I use social media for podcast validation as well. And I'm kind of also engaging with them first through social media, and also helps me to kind of align myself with host first, see if we share the same values, see if we have the same lifestyle, and basically it starts from the host first rather than from the show, and then I find the host first. So like I promised, I'm going to share more about expert research, and then I'm going to dive into tools and platforms that I use, and then I'm going to dive into my example, okay? So I'm going to share more about expert research and how I do it specifically, because this one can get a little tricky if you don't know the parameters that you can use for this. So how to use this specific method. So first things first, you have to find a business owner with a similar target audience as you do. It can be your competitor also, it can be someone you admire, or it can be someone from a complementary field, okay? I just quickly share the chat. Okay, so for examples, let's say I'm a business coach for health and wellness coaches, or I can be a web designer for health and wellness coaches. Both share the same target audience, right? Health and wellness coaches, but they both offer different services. So they are not competitors in a way, but they're truly they're in complementary fields. Or family lawyer or divorce lawyer for women, or divorce coach for women, or therapist for women going through divorce. Again, all these experts have different services, but they have the same target audience, right? It also can be someone that offers the same services that you do, but maybe are more far ahead in a business than you do. Let's say maybe you can also find someone that has been years and years in business, and you really admire them and you look up to them, and you also can use their name when it comes to expert research. And how it's done, it's super simple. You just insert the name on iTunes and research all of the shows that they have been on. And if you want to have another similar expert that you can try to use for iTunes research, try to search one of the hosts' names that you just discovered from this previous research, and use their name and put it in iTunes and use their name for research and see what comes up. And it's super easy. You just continue until you have a solid number of shows to pitch to. So in a way, it's very fast. But also the validation maybe will take more time. But in terms of research, it's the fastest way how you can find super aligned shows, a lot of them in one place and in literally minutes. So now let's dive into show validation and what it actually means. So what it means is that you actually want to validate each show that you kind of discovered to understand, okay, is this the right show for me? And should I actually pitch this show, or should I skip it? And will it even make the pitch list, right? Because it's super important that we don't waste our time pitching the wrong shows. And we also don't want to get on the shows that are actually not really aligned with our message, and not really aligned also with our personal values. So I think the validation is it's definitely the part that you cannot skip if you want to be super effective with podcast guesting, because it all comes down to being in front of aligned people that actually will care about what you have to say, like we just talked about in the first slide. So when it comes to podcast validation, I have combined a couple of questions here that can help you to understand, is this specific show if it will even make the pitch list, right? So first question that you should ask when you find some, potential show that you would like to be on. First question, like, what is this show's target audience, and is this aligned with mine? That's the number one thing, and it's super crucial because, again, the target audience is the number one factor why you even should be on this show, right? The second, is there a gap for me, and how my message can serve this specific audience? So how I can understand that, you just go through the previous episodes and see what they've talked about, what specific topics they covered already, and try to understand if there is a gap for your message as well, or how you can adapt your message to this specific show, okay? So third question is, does this show even accept guests, right? So this is actually, you can see, pretty easy. You can understand this. You can just go through their previous episodes and see if they accept guests, if they have guest interviews or not. Also, you can check their website too, if they have a guest application form, or maybe under their contact page, they have specific instructions on how you can apply to be a podcast guest or how you can contact them. And the next question is that, does this show is actively releasing episodes? So what I mean by that is, if I am pitching to be on a podcast, I really want to be on shows that are releasing episodes consistently, maybe weekly or, twice per month, but it's not going to really work if they are releasing episodes maybe once in 6 months, or they are just releasing a few episodes per year. That's not the best maybe fit. For example, for me to spend my time and my energy and to be on this kind of shows. Also, the next thing that you should really ask yourself, like, is the show investing their resources into their marketing? And by this, I mean, money, energy, their time, their strategy. Are they growing their audience? Are they posting consistently? Are they, sharing on social media? Are they inviting people to their offers? And are they building brand awareness? And are they monetizing the show, right? So let's say if I'm an expert on the show, I would like to be on the show that really are, working on their marketing, that are investing their energy, time, and finances and resources into their marketing. So I can look as good as a guest expert as I can if I'm accepted to be a guest on this show, right? And lastly, does this show's message, in the core message, align with mine? And also, does the personal values align also with my values? Does the host values align with mine? And by that, I like to use social media and try to understand, okay, what are their values, what they talk about. Because sometimes they have like guest policy, or they share, their mission. And I really, when I'm like reading this through, I can like instantly understand if this is for me or if it's not for me at all. So I'm not gonna waste my time if I see that there's completely like no alignment here. So for example, let's say I also have worked with a lot of clients that are that prefer to be on Christian podcasts. So if I see that the host is completely anti this, I'm not going to pitch my client to be on the show if the core values are not aligned, right? So now I'm going to quickly share my top tools and platforms that I use for podcast assessment, and then I'm going to dive into my example. So my favorite tools and platforms by far is, first of all, Chartable.com. I love this platform. And it helps me to assess the accurate size and reach of each show. And the cool thing about this is that it combines all the ratings and reviews from, all the platforms, and only from iTunes, like Apple Podcast does it. So once I find a great show, I instantly can see a bigger picture, since iTunes doesn't always show ratings from all platforms combined. And it also shows, sometimes charts globally, and it's just a great all-in-all platform to use. Second, I use listennotes.com. I absolutely love this platform because it pulls all of the data about the number of episodes, when the show, aired, when it has been released. And the coolest thing, it also has global ratings and listen score, which is, such a great number to have when I'm assessing the reach of the show. Again, why it's important, because just imagine if I'm just starting out, maybe I don't want to be on the biggest shows out there, because the possibility that they will accept me as a guest is so, it's such a low possibility, right? It's really, maybe I should even not waste my time, creating a pitch and pitching this huge show when I'm literally just starting my business. So podcast validation and assessment really helps me to understand the reach of the show and how big the show actually is, because it's actually super hard to find correct statistics about the podcast listenership. And the last thing that I like to use when it comes to podcast assessment is, like I mentioned before, I use host social media platforms. I use their website. It's simply because I like to do my homework before I send the pitch and check all the platforms that host has created to understand, once again, who their target audience is, who are they serving, finding more information about them, their personal story. Maybe they share more about the size of their audience or engagement, and also what I can bring to the table as an expert, and if I'm even a fit for this show or not. So I always recommend checking all of these platforms before you actually send the pitch, because that will determine kind of if your pitch is good or not. And it will also help you to personalize your pitches, right? So now, like I promised, we will dive into the live example. I will just take a quick sip of water. So yeah, I will use all of my free go-to research tools and ways on how I like to do the research. I will combine it with podcast validation. And for this example, let's pretend that I am business coach for coaches, okay? For coaches, course creators, and consultants who crave bigger freedom and who want to scale to multiple six figures with ease and more freedom, right? So let's start by Google research. Like I mentioned, let's pretend that I have absolutely no aligned expert in mind. I have no aligned shows in mind. I am starting from a complete scratch. So I'm literally typing best podcast for online course creators and digital entrepreneurs in 2023. So for this, I already kind of prepared my example. So it just will be faster that way. So let's pretend that I'm opening, this first page. And it's like, okay, 15 podcasts online courses should listen to. Okay, online course creators should listen to. Okay, let's scroll down and see what they offer. The Course Creators Show, this is actually a great show. Mixergy. Of course, Amy Porterfield, the queen of online courses and online marketing. This one is an amazing show. School of Greatness. And for this example, let's use a big name in the online space. Let's use Amy Porterfield, because probably all of you know her. She's a queen of online courses. She's a queen of, email lists and just online business in general. So let's pretend that we are using her name and her podcast. So I'm opening chartable.com and I'm typing in the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast and see what comes up. I will also open up her on iTunes. And I instantly see, okay, the charts are incredible. It instantly gives me a pretty clear picture that this is a huge show. Okay, yeah, 5,900 ratings. That's a huge show. That's a lot of ratings, okay? So it instantly shows me that that is a huge show. And you see, and iTunes actually does not show the same the same thing here. It shows 4.1K, and in Chartable showed almost 6,000 ratings. Okay. So I'm just like scrolling down and trying to assess if this is a podcast for me. I clearly see that this is very well established show. It has 600 episodes. That's a huge library of episodes. And I see that she is actually taking guests because she's speaking with somebody. Here I'm opening, I can see like with Hank Paul. Like she's definitely taking guests. I can see what they're talking about. They're definitely talking about online marketing, about metrics, how I plan my podcast topics, about mindset, about profitable business. So this is definitely a possibility for me if I am a business coach for online course creators, coaches. But only thing is that if I'm just like in the beginning stages of my business, I see that this is a huge podcast and it may not be the best fit for me. But I figured that if she is a big name in the online space, I can actually use her name for expert research, right? Because I know that she's heavily investing in PR, in, exposure and visibility. And also let's see what actually iTunes suggests us. So if you scroll down, you will see you might also like this section. And when you open up the section, you will actually have a list of very, very aligned podcasts that you can also check and see if they are a fit for you. So this is an amazing show, Powerhouse Women, mastering coaching skills. So definitely podcast for coaches, right? Make Money as a Life Coach. These are all bigger shows, but definitely I can kind of also check names of the hosts here, like Stacy Boheman or Lindsay Dodslav, and see if maybe they are also investing in podcast guesting, right? So this is one way how you can continue. And I'm actually going to do expert research right now, and I'm going to type Amy Porterfield and see what comes up, okay, on iTunes. Yep, so she's definitely investing in podcast guesting, in her visibility. So she's guested on some big shows like Business Made Simple, Jasmine Star, of course, Jenna Kutcher, The Art of Online Business. These are all big shows, but I want to see maybe there are smaller shows that I can pitch myself to. And these shows, maybe, I don't know what they are, but I'm going to check them out. And She Means Profit, Sweet Life Entrepreneur podcast, the Professional Creative podcast. So instantly it's more for maybe creative entrepreneurs. So all of these shows actually can be a fit for me, like marketing and mindset, online marketing, definitely, yes. Definitely all about entrepreneurship. So I have instantly a huge list of shows that I can actually go and research even further. But for this, I actually just like this show. Let's pretend that I just like the show, and I'm going to use check the description and see what the show is about. Okay, so this is definitely for online marketing, branding, service, sales, how to scale, launch, coaching, PR, and more. Yes, definitely for coaches, for scaling your online business, and lifestyle freedom. So it definitely gives me a kind of a sneak peek of what the show is about. So now I'm gonna go through the previous episodes and see what they talk about. Okay, offer versus program, mastering the pitch, selling your trainings. So she's talking about a lot about programs. So it instantly kind of shows me that she's actually working with coaches and also online courses. So this definitely can be for me if I am a business coach for online courses and course creators, and I see if they are taking guests. Yes, they are taking guests. They definitely take guests. They have a lot of guest experts. So I'm actually curious, and I wanna continue actually researching this show. And I'm gonna I'm going to just type the name of this podcast into Chartable, and let's see what Chartable shows us. So it instantly shows that's 4.9 stars, 104 ratings. Okay, this is a huge difference from Amy Porterfield that has nearly 6,000 ratings. So still 100 ratings, it's an amazing place to be, right? If you are a small business owner. And here is the show description. And I kind of see that, okay, this is actually interesting and I want to check this even further. So I'm opening listennotes.com. And I see that, oh, the global ranking is actually 1.5. So this means that they are in the top 1.5% globally. So this is actually a big number, that this podcast is actually so popular. And it's very well established. It has almost 300 episodes. It's been around since January 2017. So it instantly shows me, okay, this is a serious show. They're definitely investing their time and energy into developing this podcast. And they have a huge listenership. And yeah, they are not stopping. They are literally investing their time and energy and probably also money to get this podcast to the place where it is now and even further. So I'm actually curious. Let's open up her Instagram and see. So she's a business consultant. So she helps experts scale their offers to one. Yeah, this is actually great. And I'm curious. I'm gonna open up her website. So why I like also Chartable, because on the right side here, it also shows me her website that I already kind of opened. And when I open up her website, it instantly shows me that her clients are consultants, coaches, service providers who are looking to, scale with more profits and, lifestyle freedom, which lifestyle freedom is kind of keyword for online courses in a way, or digital products. So I'm definitely interested. So I'm just kind of checking her out, what she's about. And I'm actually curious. Let's see what podcast. Oh, apply to be a guest. So she's definitely taking guests, right? So this is what I wanted to find actually. And here is Amy Porterfield. So they are definitely connected. So now you see how everything comes together and each person is actually connected with another person. So this is actually how I do my research. And she literally has an instructions on how to apply and who is the best fit for her and maybe who's not. So if I'm fit, reading through her, instructions, I'm definitely applying for this show because it instantly shows me that, hey, if I'm in a beginning stage of my business or even in like maybe 5 years in, this is still an amazing show to be on because they literally have such a great ratings and they're definitely investing in their visibility. I see that they're 1.5% globally. So yeah, this is an amazing show to be on. So this is how I actually do my research. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions on the podcast research, and afterwards I can answer those questions after I will finish the presentation. So yeah, this is how I do my research plus validation at the same time. It's super, I think, easy. It just takes time. It definitely takes time, but once I find the right show, I know exactly that this is the right fit for me, and I know that the pitch will make sense and it's worth sending. Actually, it's worth my time actually trying out and seeing what the host will say. So yeah, let's dive into how to actually create a killer pitch, right? Once we have found an amazing show to be on, now it's time to create a really, really great pitch. And it's time to kind of stand out and share more about, why we are a great fit. So when it comes to creating a podcast pitch, the number one thing is to be super genuine, warm, and be personal. So for this, I always say, don't be lazy and always personalize your pitches. That will actually help you send fewer pitches and land more interviews for sure. And I always recommend using pitch template and personalizing it, because it will save you so much time. So I always have like a pitch template body in front of me, and I'm just personalizing all the details in. Second, definitely show the host exactly that you know and understand who their audience is, and that you are ready to bring massive value to their audience. So if we are using the previous April Beach example, I will definitely use sentences like, I would love to serve your audience of coaches and service providers or course creators. And with this kind of sentence, I instantly show her that I know exactly who her target audience is, right? And the next thing is, if you have a personal connection point, definitely use it. So for example, what I mean by this is maybe you have both recorded with the same person before, or maybe you have attended the same training, or maybe you both like reality TV, right? Whatever it is that hosts share publicly, maybe through their social media, maybe you both are moms, maybe you both are struggling with the same thing right now. You can definitely use it in your pitch if you know that her hosts actually shared this information publicly. So it will instantly show that you kind of did your homework, and it's just nice. All these little details, they are super nice when it comes to receiving a pitch from a complete stranger, and that will make you think like, this person actually did their homework, and I really want them on my show, right? And when it comes to pitching, I always like to create kind of shorter but super clear subject lines. So I try to keep it under 7 to 10 words if possible. So I say, maybe let's use Lindsay. I say, Lindsay, guest idea on X, Y, and Z, or April, guest idea on, how to do this and that on the strategy. So maybe you can use, snippet from your interview topic, or just like guest request or something like that. Sometimes they have very specific interview like instructions that they also what they like to see in a subject line as well. So be kind of see, you can also try to find that information as well. Definitely. The next thing is using the host's first name and double check the grammar of the name. This sounds silly, even, just so simple, but pitches that starts with like, hey, and that's it, or hi, it's just not good. Or sometimes I receive messages like, hey, Podgrow. It's just like, do I have a name, right? Like, it just instantly shows that this person is not good fit at all, and it's not respectful. So I'm just not even going to read the next the next thing that they have written in the email. Also, in the first paragraph of the pitch, let the host know that you really appreciate their show, and you know what they talk about, and they know what the show is about. And be specific and highlight a specific episode or topic that you really liked and really that really resonated with you, and show them why you like them. It's not just like, oh, it's such a great show. Be super specific, right? Go in details. Hosts really want to know what specifically you liked in this episode. Then you can dive more about like who you are and why you're here. And for this, I really like to create like I call it like a strong mini bio. So with strong mini bio, you should include like who you are, who you serve, brag a little bit about yourself, but be super short and specific. So I suggest 1-2 strong sentences, 3 sentences is absolutely, maximum. So here are a few examples of strong mini bios that we used from our previous clients. So here is actually Lindsay's. So she's a balance and freedom business coach, host of top-rated podcasts, XYZ, and homeschooling mom of 3. She helps female coaches create 6-figure businesses with intentional 5-hour work weeks so they can have business and life they enjoy is in complete alignment with their ultimate dreams and visions. So this simple 2-sentence mini bio I like to use in my pitches. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. So it's really up to you what you want to include, but be too short, like I mentioned, to include the formula on who you are, who you serve, and, you know, a little bit about yourself, or maybe something personal about yourself, so that the host can really resonate with you as well. But they're not like overwhelmed with all of your amazing credentials, because honestly, it gets super boring to read all of this stuff, especially if you get 10 pitches per day. And guess what? You also have to work on your business, and you also have other emails in your inbox. So it's just overwhelming to read all of these, you know, amazing credentials that honestly says nothing about you to the host. They just want to know why you're in my inbox and what value can you provide for my listeners. So then you are going to dive into the value that you could offer, basically your speaking topics, and that what can you discuss on the show, and why is that important for their audience. And basically you should package your knowledge into a compelling interview topic that you can offer to the host, right? I always suggest using 1 to 2 topics, and don't list everything you could speak about, because actually it's your homework to understand what they've talked previously, what they discussed previously on the show, and what will be the best speaking topics out of every speaking topic that you have, what would be the best fit for them. So this is actually your homework to determine which one would be the best for their audience and why. And it really shows hosts that you know, again, do your homework, understand that you have to kind of share more about the value that you are going to offer, so the host can instantly decide whether or not you will be the best fit for them or not. Then you're going to also add social media handles, because again, it's not the host's homework to research you online and find your Instagram and website, and also add 1 to 2, you know, previous podcast features or media features, or, you know, maybe your IG live or Facebook live or whatever speaking engagement you have been on. So you can just show, you know, how you speak, what it's like to talk to you, what's your energy. And it also kind of also boosts your credibility as well, especially if you have a well-known podcasts under your belt already. Equally important details when it comes to creating a killer pitch is you can also be super fancy, and you can add a press page. That's something additional that you can use, but it's, in a nutshell, it's just an additional landing page that you can add to your pitch, because I don't like to use add any attachments because it's just not good if you're sending email to a complete stranger, and typically they're not opening emails if they see that there's something attached to it. And I also like to give a 5-star review, and it shows that, you know, you did this extra step that hosts really, really appreciate, because podcasting is a serious labor of love, and they spend so much time and energy, you know, creating this podcast that is for free, that you can listen anytime and anywhere. So 5-star reviews, you know, at least that you can do if you're serious about being a guest on this podcast. And I always, of course, recommend to follow up, because I like to say that the treasure is in a follow-up, right? And I recommend following up approximately after 7 days after your initial pitch, and then at least 1 to 2, maybe 3 times afterwards. So yeah, this is it from me when it comes to podcast. Oh, hey, first name, yeah. When it comes to podcast pitching, research, validation, and how to create, you know, an awesome pitch for yourself. And if you want to know more about how to connect with me, how to work with me, or how can I support you, I have quickly combined, you know, 2 slides about how can you work with me and what's coming, how can you get my support. So definitely check out my Instagram at thepodgrow, or my website, thepodgrow.com. I share tons of value there, and you also DM me there. I love to give, you know, value as much as I can through DMs or just through voice messages. And also what's coming, it's my course is coming. So I wanted to share that with you as well. So for those who really prefer self-paced learning, this is a great option on how you can truly master the podcast guesting on your own, and you can generate really aligned interviews for yourself on autopilot with truly host that really wants to you on your show ASAP. And you can also create your own podcast guesting strategy that aligns with your goals and visions. So you can join the wait list here. I also will share the link with you in the chat box. So this is for the course. And what's awesome that the course is coming in August, and for those who will be signed up for the waiting list, you will kind of get the opportunity to get up to $300 a discount for the early bird price. And for those who are just know that they need support when it comes to, creating their interview topics and creating their strategy, I also offer podcast guesting mastery VIP days. So what's awesome about the VIP day is that we'll actually have a one-on-one strategy session, a customized training, one-on-one with me. I will dedicate my whole day to you. And what's even more awesome, that I will actually custom create your outreach assets. With that, I mean, I will create your interview topics based on the strategy session we had, and I will also do podcast research for you and create your media one sheet and a mini media kit that I like to use for the follow-ups. And I will also give you folder of all of your ready to use custom made material specifically for you. And actually, we and Lindsay talked, and she agreed that with code Lindsay at the checkout page, you can get 10% off your VIP day. So you can definitely check out also more information about that in the chat. I believe that will also be available in the recording. I will just quickly share more about this. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. We'll be sending us the slides. Yeah, we'll be sending the recording, right, Lindsay? The recording will be available.
Yes, I will be sending out the recording either today or tomorrow. I'm wondering if they have access to the slides themselves, I'm guessing for references, but you will get the recording even though you were here live.
Yeah, for sure. You will get the recording. So yeah, these slides are, I think the recording will be better because I am literally showing the step-by-step on how I do the research and validation, because the live example, I think, will help you a lot when it comes to research, because it's one thing that you will have this in theory, but live example is a completely different thing, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And the way you walked through it is nice, because when you have the recording, you can hit pause and play and do it along with Kristīne.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions, I would love to actually now answer them and support you as much as I can. Maybe you have, any question about the interview topic or the research or the pitch, just ask me anything right now.
Yeah, you guys can put your questions in the chat, and if something comes up later on, I'm sure. She just said you can DM her all the questions at the Pod Girl on Instagram, because I think she'd be happy to answer them for you. She was such a dream to work with, you guys. Oh my gosh. It was so easy. It was always nice to see her name pop up in my inbox, and all I had to do was say, yeah, I'll go on Thursday at 3, and she set everything up for me. And I know she doesn't offer that right now. So if you can do a VIP day with her, that would be gold.
Yes. Like I mentioned, I'm expecting baby number 2. So in fall. So I'm not actually taking done for you clients, which I know is so convenient for my clients. They love this service. But yeah, I just want to take time off and really, dedicate time to my family. So this is how definitely you can work with me, because also VIP day will have a 4-week boxer support when we can literally talk to each other. And I can do that also home with my belly and also during the naps. So definitely. Oh, thank you. Is this more robust than the pitch? Yeah, Media Kit is actually like what I like to use is Media One Sheet. That's like a bigger, it's literally a PDF sheet or a press page, like I mentioned. It's a page where it's like your mini media bio. It's like information about you, your go-to interview topics, maybe your stats, like maybe you have a big following or you have a big email list. Depending on where you're at in your business, I will highlight, the best parts of you in Media Kit. And mini Media Kit is actually something smaller that I just create for you, that I like to use actually for the follow-ups, that I like to use in social media. So just imagine, it's because we have, not a lot of space in the DMs or LinkedIn messages or Facebook messages. It's just when you see a long message, it just instantly, oh my God, I'm not going to read it. But what Mini Media Kit does, it's just a kind of visual presentation of you as a guest. I typically like to include your, headshot, your go-to interview topics, like 3 maybe, your top ones, your signature ones, logos that maybe you have been featured on, or you have maybe amazing portfolio of your clients that you've worked with, and also kind of where maybe you are a host yourself, maybe you're a podcaster. So I will kind of include the cover art of your podcast. So whatever it is for you, I will highlight, right? So it all comes down to what are your credibility markers. So that's that part we talk about in our strategy sessions. I know Lindsay can maybe share more, that sometimes we have like 2 hours, and we even have like check-in calls with our clients. You would iron out the topics that are maybe not working, we drop them, and topics that are really performing well, we are even ironing out even more. So we know what's working and what's not. So based on that, basically based on the strategy that you have and on the credibility markers that you already have, like the podcast maybe you have already been on, or you've been a speaker there, or maybe you're just starting out, we will figure out a way how to highlight how awesome you are and create your Media One Sheet based on that.
I think the time with you is so valuable because sometimes we get so involved in our own world, and it's nice to hear that outside perspective of how we can refine our messaging and who we speak to. And it helps, with those up front and center things like our bio on Instagram and the way we introduce ourselves on podcasts. And the audits you did for me were so helpful. I can't believe you actually sat there and listened and took notes on episodes that I was on, but it was really helpful to hear someone else besides, just somebody who likes to listen to you, who took it seriously. And that was such a nice thing to hear. Like, maybe you could talk about this less and maybe you could talk about this more. And I don't know, it's just the creative criticism and positive criticism was so helpful, and just fine tuning everything. Even if you've been doing this for years, I've been doing it for years. It was just so helpful. And it kind of like, oh yeah, maybe this could serve me better if I worded it this way. And that was just really nice to have.
Definitely. Yeah. My iRobot just started working. So if there's a noise in the background, I'm sorry. I just did not expect that it will start working. But yeah, cleaning the floors.
Yeah.
But definitely, yeah. Just having someone, I think, to refine your messaging is super important. And I liked actually how we did I think our last check-in call when we refined your bio, because it's all connected actually. When hosts receive your email, they kind of see how you're naming yourself, like basically your title. And if it's a bit different or completely different from your website and Instagram, it instantly just like, oh. But if it's totally aligned, it's just like in 1 minute, they decide whether you are a fit for them or not. So sometimes they even say yes to me when I follow up on them through social media. When I share when I share your Mini Media Kit with your Instagram, it instantly creates, super clear picture of who you are. And they say, yep, yes, I will have this person on my show.
I think those media kits are so helpful because everyone is in such a rush and no one wants to read through this huge long email.
Yep.
And yeah, those are like a key to getting on shows because I'm sure you do a lot of connections just in Instagram DMs rather than email.
Yeah. Also, as well, I do them in a follow-up phase or just when I see something that I can connect with, I do it, but it definitely takes time. So sometimes it's months before we actually get an interview booked because we are just like engaging with them, but in a genuine way, and when the time comes, we can say like, hey, I have actually a guest for you, or what I pitch also myself based on, the conversations that I have when I genuinely connect with hosts. I say, hey, I actually think I can also be a guest on your show and share value on XYZ. And they'll be like, yeah, sure. Because I'm not a total stranger in their inbox anymore.
Yeah, and you do that really, really well. And I think the best word to describe you and what you do is you're very genuine, and that can be really hard to find in that space. So I don't see a ton of other questions in the chat box. And if you guys have questions, you can certainly DM her, or if you have questions that you want to ask me, I'm an open book as well. Do you have anything else you'd like to share, Kristīne? But this was awesome. So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, no, I think this is it for me. I think I already laid a lot of information on you. So again, if something is not clear, or maybe you have more questions, just feel free to reach out anytime. And like I mentioned, if you want to connect with me or work with me, this is the time to do it. Until the fall, I will be a little bit less available then. Okay, not a little bit, pretty much.
A lot.
A lot not available. So definitely either the VIP day or the course, because I'm not offering the done for you services for some time. But yeah, I would love to support you in any way other than I can. So yeah. So thank you so much for having me. This was super fun.
I have a puppy who wants to get out of my office. So we will let him out. And yes, Kristīne has a literal real time clock going down on her services. So for a little bit. So if you're interested, take that as a big nudge for you. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. And if you have any questions, please let us know, and we will send out the recording as soon as possible.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.